Is that pointed right? Where it's not pointed over my head?
It's not over your head. No. Hold
Three, two,
on.
one. What?
As soon as I realize that we're streaming, I'll tell you. Kind of looks like we're streaming. Yeah, we are. 3, 2, 1. Sorry.
So today I will fill in the time that people are not asking questions with talking about decks that you might add onto your house, or you might add onto your mobile home or a small building, even campers. Um, First of all, you don't have to build a deck out of wood. So, um, that being said, you can have a patio that's like a deck off the side of the house if the ground is low enough, or if you filled in the with a perimeter that would hold the earth in, and then pour concrete, and then or just pour sand or get sand in there, and then put your rocks on top of that. But a patio slash deck can be something more than wood. Um, you can do ceramic tile, but you need to make sure that when you do ceramic tile, you make sure that it's not slick. I've I've seen people do that, and when it gets wet, you slide and fall. So you might want to think about any kind of slick surface. Um, do you want your deck level? Is one thing you need to ask yourself, and you say, "Of course I do." Um, if you look back in the old days, you would see that people didn't have their front porch slash deck level because they wanted the rain to slide off, not to stay on their deck and then lose what wood was hard to come by, and then lose it. So you would have that choice if there's no place for the water to go. You might want to run it away from your house instead of letting it sit on your house. And then something like snow and ice and that kind of thing can melt, and literally the snow can be out on the outside edge more, and the water can't get back, so it ends up going back into your house. Again, these are things that I want to talk to you about. To keep that kind of thing from happening, you would put flashing on top of the frame of the deck, and then you put your finished material, wood, if that be. You would sit on top of the flashing. That flashing goes up the wall. Now, sometimes you have to take siding off to get it up under the wall, the siding of the wall, but you need to get that done. Now, when it comes to styles of decks, there's books and books and books about it. Generally, a smaller deck up to about 10 foot. You can go to 12 foot, but you have to have more support. You can do with a 2x6. Uh, but generally, you're going to want support every 6 feet. And uh, also, I put that support about a foot from the outside edge. And you're like, why would you do that? Unless I know I'm going to put a building on top of it, that's what I do. Now, why would I do it? Well, it allows me to put close in underneath with skirting, and it puts the support where the actual weight is. Like when you're standing near the deck, you're not standing where the handrail is, you're standing just a little bit back from the handrail. Even if you're sitting in a chair, not all your weight is in the back two legs of the chair, it's actually spread out. So your weight, and that also allows you to make a wider deck because you have that 1 foot 18 inches max of 2 foot sticking out. If you're going to build a roof over it, you still can get away with that, but you need to understand you need to support that roof with the deck material. Say if you're using 5/4 material, which is 1.25 thick and rounded, it might not support the roof cover. So you need to think about that. I generally don't encourage decks that are done with 5/4. They look pretty, but they cost as much, if not more, than a regular 2x6. And your 2x6 is 1 5/8, not 1.25, so you get 3/8 more material. Supports a lot more weight. Doesn't warp as bad. And by the way, that 5/4 material will warp like crazy. Even in the stack where you go to pick it out, you'll find that it's very warped. 2x6s tend to stay straighter longer. That doesn't guarantee that when you go to pick out your material that it's straight either. And I don't myself use nails. The only time I use nails for anything is for either roofing shingles, and you can use staples for that, or finish nails, because the weather causes the wood to shrink and expand with heat and cold. The cold would be making it shrink, and the wood would expand a little bit with heat. If you have a nail, that material picks that nail up and it works that nail out more than a screw. It's rare that a screw does that. And when it comes to deck coatings and stuff like that, this is going to hurt some guys' feelings, but I don't generally build decks with coated screws. I have had this discussion with deck screw salesmen who happen to be at Lowe's or Home Depot or at multiple places, and they always try to correct me. No, you need to use this coated screw. I have been building decks for almost 30 years, and some of those decks, most of those decks, as far as I know, every one of those decks are still there. So what it was supposed to cause is the screws would rust and they wouldn't hold the wood. That has not been the case. Okay. So you can buy the added cost screws. You can get.
Hold on just a second. This thing is giving me all kinds of trouble.
Okay, we have problems. So you have